The Vergara decision in California is clearly a travesty, and it's also based on how little judges really know about education process. I'm concerned that this judge made a ruling and that he used as his primary source of reasoning faulty information and logic. The fact that he placed all this value on Raj Chetty's study that basically shows that each classroom full of children has a $200,000 change in their lives if they have an effective teacher. And the problem is that Raj Chetty was never able to, at any point from what I can tell, and I haven't read the entire transcript, determine what an effective teacher is. But they just seem to know it in their genes that it can't possibly be someone who has tenure. He also misstated the fact that you cannot fire a teacher with tenure. That is just absolutely not true. It's never been true for K through 12. Tenure means due process. It means you cannot walk into a teacher's room and play the Donald Trump card and just say, you're fired. That's what tenure really means. It's a matter of due process, so that if someone is deemed incompetent, they have the option to immediately remediate. He saw that, he felt that 2 years wasn't long enough for a teacher to be to have tenure. Okay, so if 2 years isn't the right amount of time, yet on the other hand, they seem to think that there are all of these first and second year teachers who are so much better than the tenured experienced teachers for whatever reason they have. This case is unfortunate because it's clear that the propaganda machine that is fueled by Silicon Valley wealthy guy like Mr. Welch, who, for what reason does this even mean, but that particular propaganda machine has much more sway over a single judge's ruling than what's based in research and reality. So what we do know is that the overwhelming majority of children that go to schools in poor districts tend to have more inexperienced teachers, not fossilized older teachers. If you want to look at teacher tenure, go out to your suburban areas where you have very high test scores, so I guess they're extremely effective, but you don't see this huge turnover because their working conditions are so much better than the working conditions for poor and minority children. So this particular ruling is just a jumble of the propaganda that has been spewed and the marketing that's been done. Mind you, they've spent tons on marketing around this case. And I think that it's unfortunate because it immediately gives them some sort of credit. But it is unfortunate that this judge would take the research done by and speculative research, not based on real evidence, by an economist, as opposed to someone like Linda Darling Hammond, who is a researcher in education and has been doing this for decades. So, my heart goes out to people, again, who just simply do not understand what tenure means. And the reason we have it so that we get around discriminatory process. A principal can say, you know what? I don't like black women, so I'm not going to hire any, and I'm going to fire everyone here. And if you see that pattern, then what do? You have in Chicago, tenure was needed because school teaching jobs were political for so long. And if you didn't belong to the right political party and the right family, then you couldn't even get a job. So part and parcel of having tenure and having protections is that the biggest advocates of students have been their teachers. So I don't care what some Silicon Valley mogul, wow, all of a sudden again, why are they so interested in poor children of color when they don't ever want to deal with the issues that surround their so-called poor outcomes. They don't want to deal with that. So, but this is a great win for them. I know they're all happy and drinking champagne and celebrating, but their time will come. Their time will come. And we will get past all of this madness and all of this, everything wrong with schools is the teacher's fault. And we know that one of the reasons guys like this who have these jobs that don't produce anything of value for people, but they have to go find something else, there's a lot of distrust and actually some jealousy of the fact that we do get to change the world on a regular basis every day. We do get the opportunity to educate children, to change their lives, and to make those relationships. And there's a certain amount of envy around those kinds of jobs where we actually create and do something meaningful with our lives. And this notion that, oh, you want to be protected, you want to be compensated, you want to have pension benefits, you shouldn't have any of that. So I will be glad to get past the ugliness of this kind of verdict and, quite frankly, the ignorance of this judge on what the real issues were and how easily he's been swayed by propaganda. And that, to me, is the saddest part in reading this, this verdict, is how little this man really knows and really heard, but that he was impressed with the Harvard degrees of people who still know nothing about education, but are great at speculating. Not a single shred of hard evidence proves anything that Rod Shetty has done. But that's where we are right now. I think they know their side is losing. And there have been so many wins for justice in education right now. Parents are pushing back against the high-stakes testing. I got a letter today from a parent who's really upset that her child is not going to graduate because she didn't score well on an exam, even though she's done perfectly okay with her grades and whatnot. She says, I don't even mind that my daughter has to go to summer school, but I do mind that they didn't even bother to tell me, and I've got all these plans, and because I'm assuming my daughter's going to graduate. So high stakes testing, which ranks and sorts children, the Common Core right now, as people know, has been pushed back against from certain states dropping that requirement, and other parents just saying, you're not going to collect these data on my children. I mean, so there's been, for the last 20 years, they have gotten everything they've wanted. So they're not even used to losing a little bit. So that is why the propaganda machine and the spin machines are up and running, and that misinformation just flies across the world right now.